I did some kind of experiment. Well, what I do is logic troll. It's what I do. Okay. So, Secular Talk was doing a bit on the corporate, political corruption and whatnot. So what I did was I made a statement that I constantly make, which is, what goes on with politics, politicians being bought and stuff like that. As I always say, it's not corruption. It's greed. That's what I do. I say that for lots of reasons. Now, a lot of people get to see that, understand it, and they usually just move on. Some give me an upvote on it, and I ran into something. See, I ran into people that, they're like, no, but the pure definition of, and they don't want to use their heads. They don't want to think. I'm not saying I'm the best thinker. Hell, I'm, most likely a subpar thinker when it comes to observations and comprehending certain things. I mean, usually if I don't understand something, you know what? I pretty much take the words very literal. So, that right there it will create a conflict. But they, trying to patriot check me and stuff, there's more than one definition, right? I'm like, man, I was like, get the fuck up out my face. I was in that mode when I read that, and I told, I'm sitting here like, the other side of me was, I could have, instead of saying that, I could just be like, you know what? Right. You're right. And let's move on. I said all that just for nothing. But, they were really, the definition. And they kept going with that, the definition. And probably was like, shut the fuck up about the definition. And I kept saying corruption is no different than perversion. Something had to have been something and then changed into something else, and that's what it is. That's what it would have to take place. Now, let me read this. I've done this before, but I'm going to do this again. Corruption is the definition. Dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, typically involving bribery. That's the first one. The second one, the process by which something, typically a word or expression, is changed from its original use of meaning to one that is regarded as erroneous or debased. All right. So we're talking politics here, so we're going to go with the first one. They both roughly mean the same thing, though. You just have to finagle the words a bit. So the first one, look, as I got on them, and I was telling them, it's not corruption. These politicians being bought, it's not corruption. You know what it is? It's greed. It's business as usual. See, it's corrupt if you go in trying to be the good guy, trying to do the right thing. Well, the good girl, good woman. And you try to do the right things. And then someone's like, hey, if you want to make it, you have to do this. You got to make it this way. So they decide to go and do it that way just a little bit because they'll say it. I'll take this money. It'll put me in these standings. And then with those standings, I'll be able to get my agenda or at least start my agenda. The problem is they started something that cannot end because in order to keep trying to do your agenda, you have to keep getting that money. So you keep getting that money. And when they say, we need this from you. So if you want to stay where you are to get your agenda out, you have to do what we say. And your agenda most likely is contradictory to what they say. If the whole point was to get money out of politics, but you want to get your message around, and you have to do that through accepting money in politics, you've been corrupted. See how that works? You have been perverted from your original stance. You can espouse all you want about being the good person. You're trying to, get the 28th Amendment passed. You want wolf-pack.com to work. You want to get that amendment passed. But the problem is you got to take that money in order to stay where you are to help influence others to not take money. And at that point, you just look like a fucking crazy fool, I mean, it'd be like if I jumped into your car and started stabbing you. I am not stabbing you. I am not stabbing you. Your life will be saved. You're like, I don't pretty much feel saved right now. So that's what I'm saying. It's not corruption. It is business as usual. It is greed. It's been this way for over 40 years, maybe even over 70. That's all it's been. I know for the when Truman was trying to run for vice president and whatnot, I remember the Democrats going on the Roger Stone film and stuff, The Untold History of the United States, that they was trying to get money in politics. They was pushing it. Henry A. Wallace was of the Progressive Party, trying to make sure it stayed out. And FDR, Republican, was trying to make sure it stayed out. And what happened? It got in. It got in. And ever since then, it's been one craptacular thing after another. These politicians, the reason, hear me, it's not corruption, is because they go in expressly knowing that they're going to make money off of what they're doing. That's the reason why it's not corruption. They go in knowing they're going to make money. And honestly, Tom Hartman, he spoke of it, how someone said, look, dude, the way you're doing, the way your platform, you ain't making any money. But if you decide to be Republican and do the right, and swing to the right wing and cater to them, you'll make gobs of money hand over fist. And well, it's a little bit of bias for that for me, because a few years ago, I was like, if I got up there and just started talking right-wing talking points and talking pro-white and all this other stuff, I'd make a lot of money. Especially as a black guy, I would make a lot of money selling out minorities in general. That's the whole point. That's the point of corruption, to sell out. And, there's no money in doing the right thing. That's the truth. There's no money. Now, Jesse Ventura, he made more money doing his job than he did raising the money. He did his properly. Jesse Ventura's a statesman. You can hear his story multiple times. It's a good one. So what I need people to understand is that it's just business as usual. And then now listen to this. This is the second part. The people up there, I ran into this. I ran into the backfire effect. It was strange. They don't want to admit that it's greed and not corruption. So much so, they would rather argue that than to say, yes, it is corporate greed because it is business as usual. I spelled it out for them. But they were so hung up on that, they couldn't get past it. They couldn't see past their own nose. It was like, no, yeah. That's how they were. It was a damn shame. They did not want anything other than, this is my belief, this is my opinion, and there is no greed, is corruption. You have to go with the definition. If you look at it, it's really this. Oh, you're just spinning stuff, aren't you? You know what? You're not really that bright. I'm like, man, what in the hell? How in the hell? I mean, I'm basically, okay, the whole premise is these politicians are on the take. That's it. That's the baseline. Kyle presented it that way. I'm saying it's not corruption, it's greed, because corruption, they're not. They lived this life. They are that life. They got in knowing they was going to get that money. So it can't be corruption, because that's just business as usual, as I've said multiple times already in this. And so they could not handle that. They could not handle that. Anywhere, look, you try it. If you watch TYT or any other place, just put, there's no such thing as corruption, just greed. That's it. It's not a philosophy. It's not a new thing. It's just greed. It's greed. And, what they did was they argued about this. No different than how Republicans will argue that Democrats don't do shit. Democrats will come out and be like, we do stuff, and then move on. And Republicans are like, we want to pass this. And Democrats are like, well, there's nothing we can do. It's like, wait a minute, they haven't even started yet. Oh, there's nothing we can do. It's, it's no different. It was all bullshit. All they had to do was drop their pride, drop their bullshit, look at what I wrote, look up their definition, and then have to wonder, were they changed from something into something else? In politics, is it corruption to take a bribe? Well, yeah, but that's not how politics work. It don't work that way anymore. It's not a bribe. These politicians, that's what you have to understand. They are not taking bribes. They are collecting paychecks. There's a difference. They can call it a gift. They can call it a super PAC. They can call it anything they want. But they are collecting a paycheck. The paycheck is always irregular, but they're going to get paid. And when they get paid, we get screwed. It's that simple. Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. That's all I got. If this doesn't explain my position on why there's no corruption, just greed, I don't know how to help you. I have no idea. This is Sidra, candidate for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.